The Dallas Cowboys won't take the field on Sunday after their Thursday night loss to the Detroit Lions, but that doesn't mean the day will be quiet for fans. Instead, Cowboys Nation will be glued to the scoreboard as a series of crucial NFC matchups unfold. Dallas enters the weekend sitting at number 10 in the NFC standings, a spot that keeps them outside both wildcard contention and division reach. Their position won't improve before Monday, but the situation could worsen depending on other results. Every loss by teams ahead of them carries increasing weight as the playoff picture tightens. According to the Athletics playoff simulator, Dallas has just a 9% chance to make the postseason. Their odds of winning the NFC East are even slimmer, sitting at only 4% heading into Week 14. This paints a picture of a team that cannot afford to slip even slightly as the season winds down. The Cowboys' margin for error is essentially non-existent, making every out-of-town scoreboard a pivotal moment. For Dallas, postseason hopes depend almost entirely on how their competitors perform this weekend. The Cowboys' situation was made worse by their recent loss to Detroit. Not only did they fail to gain ground, but the Lions widened the gap in the NFC standings. This defeat now forces Dallas to rely heavily on external help in order to stay mathematically alive. The team and its fans find themselves rooting for outcomes they cannot control, a difficult place for any franchise. Yet, as the playoff race tightens, that is the reality the Cowboys now face. As Dallas watches from home, the urgency surrounding every NFC matchup intensifies. Even a single unexpected victory by a rival could shut the window on Dallas playoff aspirations. The Cowboys need not just one favorable result, but multiple breaks across the conference. The path is narrow, challenging, and filled with variables completely out of their hands. But as long as hope exists, Sunday becomes a day of tense anticipation. The Cowboys are no strangers to late-season drama, but this year feels different. Their fate is tied as much to their own performances as to the missteps of opponents. For a team accustomed to controlling its destiny, this new reality is uncomfortable. Still, a chaotic NFL weekend always offers surprises, and Dallas desperately needs them. The question now is whether the chips will fall their way in Week 14. Philadelphia Eagles hold the keys to the NFC East. When it comes to the NFC East race, the Cowboys have only one rooting interest. The Philadelphia Eagles must lose. The Eagles face the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday night, a matchup that suddenly becomes massive for Dallas. If Philadelphia wins, they will reduce their magic number to clinch the division from 3-2. That scenario would put the Eagles in position to secure the NFC East as early as next week. A Cowboys loss combined with an Eagles win in Week 15 would end the race entirely. On the other hand, if the Chargers pull off the upset, Dallas receives a lifeline. An Eagles loss keeps their magic number stuck at 3, delaying a potential clinch. This would grant the Cowboys slightly more breathing room as the season nears its climax. It wouldn't improve Dallas' current position, but it would at least prevent Philadelphia from widening the gap. Every little advantage matters when your playoff odds sit in single digits. The rivalry adds even more emotional weight to the situation. Cowboys fans are not accustomed to needing help from opponents of the Eagles. Yet this unusual circumstance forces Dallas to hope that Los Angeles delivers a much-needed blow. The implications extend far beyond bragging rights and deep into playoff mathematics. A Chargers win becomes the most important external result of the entire weekend for Dallas. Philadelphia, however, holds all the momentum and talent in the division. They've shown consistency in closing out games and remain the heavy favorite to clinch the NFC East. Their star-studded roster presents challenges for any opponent, including Los Angeles. Still, NFL unpredictability leaves the door cracked open. Dallas can only hope that the Chargers walk through it. This game won't solve everything for Dallas, but a Philadelphia loss is essential. Without it, the Cowboys' division hopes effectively evaporate. It is rare for a single game to hold such strong consequences for a team not even playing. But for Dallas, Week 14 has turned into a Monday night waiting game, and the entire NFC East race may hinge on the outcome. The wildcard picture, a complicated web of outcomes. While the NFC East is mostly out of Dallas' hands, the wildcard picture presents a broader set of possibilities. Unfortunately, most of those possibilities require multiple teams losing on Sunday. The Cowboys need help across the conference, particularly from teams holding higher seeds. The good news? Some of those teams face tough matchups. The bad news? Others are heavy favorites to win. Teams currently ahead of Dallas include the Bears, Rams, Eagles, Buccaneers, Seahawks, and Packers. Since Philadelphia belongs to the NFC East discussion, that leaves 5 teams Dallas must watch closely. The Lions already beat Dallas this week. The Panthers and 49ers are on a bye, so no movement is possible there. This narrows the focus to 3 key games involving the Rams, Buccaneers, and Seahawks. Any losses by those contenders help keep Dallas mathematically within reach. The Chicago Bears and Green Bay Packers face each other, creating a unique situation. Because only one can lose, Dallas is guaranteed partial help from this matchup. Of course, a tie would be disastrous, but statistically unlikely. This game directly affects the playoff line, making it one of Sunday's most relevant contests for Dallas. Still, its benefit is limited since only one outcome assists the Cowboys. The bigger concern lies with the Rams, Bucs, and Seahawks. All 3 face opponents with losing records or inconsistent performances. The Rams play the Arizona Cardinals, the Buccaneers draw the Saints, and the Seahawks face the Falcons. These matchups appear favorable for the NFC contenders Dallas needs to lose. But any given Sunday remains the Cowboys' best argument for hope. Even if just 1 or 2 of these teams fall, it could help Dallas stay alive. But the ideal scenario requires multiple upsets. The Cowboys cannot afford a clean sweep of wins from their rivals. This is a rare weekend where Dallas' biggest plays come from other stadiums. As tough as it may be to accept, scoreboard watching becomes a survival tactic. The Bears-Packers matchup is perhaps the most straightforward piece of Dallas' rooting guide. One of these NFC North teams must lose, providing guaranteed movement in the standings. This makes the game a built-in benefit for Dallas, assuming the result doesn't end in a tie. Both teams have shown flashes of brilliance, but inconsistency has plagued them all season. For Dallas, the ideal result hinges on which team holds a more direct tiebreaker threat. If the Bears lose, it reduces pressure on Dallas within the mid-tier playoff cluster. Chicago's defense has kept them competitive, but offensive struggles continue to limit their upside. A loss would help pull them closer to Dallas in the standings. If the Packers lose, it weakens a surging team that has recently improved its playoff position. Green Bay holds stronger momentum, making them a more dangerous competitor long-term. Dallas fans may find themselves debating which outcome benefits them more. Both teams have strengths that could prove troublesome if they reach the postseason. However, statistically, the Packers pose the bigger obstacle for Dallas playoff odds. Their recent stretch of inspired football makes them a rising threat in the NFC. Thus, a Packers loss aligns most closely with Dallas' survival strategy. The rivalry atmosphere promises a physical, unpredictable contest. Games between these 2 franchises often defy expectations and statistical predictions. This unpredictability may work in Dallas' favor as high-pressure moments tend to shake teams. If turnovers or momentum swings occur, they could tilt the matchup decisively. The Cowboys need this game to break their way to maintain playoff hope. Regardless of the outcome, this game represents only one piece of a much larger puzzle. The Cowboys must combine this result with other favorable outcomes across the league. Still, securing even guaranteed help is rare in such tight playoff races. Dallas will be watching this NFC North showdown closely. Every result matters when every percentile increase in playoff odds counts. The Rams face a dangerous trap game. On paper, the Los Angeles Rams enter Week 14 in a favorable position. Their opponent, the Arizona Cardinals, has struggled throughout the season. Yet trap games are infamous for derailing playoff hopefuls. The Rams cannot afford mistakes, but Dallas desperately needs them to make some. If the Cardinals pull off an upset, it dramatically boosts the Cowboys' wildcard hopes. Los Angeles has leaned heavily on its rising young talent and innovative play calling. However, their defense has shown vulnerabilities that Arizona could exploit. If the Cardinals find rhythm early, the Rams might be forced into a shootout. That scenario increases volatility and favors an upset-minded team. Dallas fans will be hoping for sloppy execution and key errors from Los Angeles. Historically, divisional games between these 2 franchises tend to be unpredictable. Even when one team is favored, momentum swings have shaped outcomes unexpectedly. This gives the Cardinals at least a fighting chance despite their inconsistencies. The Cowboys need Arizona to tap into that divisional chaos for one afternoon. A Rams loss would be one of the biggest boosts to Dallas' postseason outlook. From a mathematical standpoint, the Rams hold a direct tiebreaker edge over Dallas. This means their losses are more valuable to Dallas than nearly any other teams. Reducing the Rams' win total helps shrink the logjam near the playoff line. A single loss could shift the standings enough to keep Dallas competitive. This is why Dallas fans will monitor this matchup closely. The Rams' playoff resume makes them a dangerous threat if they get in. Dallas would prefer to eliminate such teams early through indirect means. A loss here puts pressure on Los Angeles and opens the door for Dallas. The Cardinals' upset potential is Dallas' biggest hope in the West. For the Cowboys, rooting against the Rams feels like a necessity. Buccaneers, Saints, a critical NFC South clash. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers face the New Orleans Saints in a matchup with major implications for Dallas. Tampa Bay has been a persistent presence in the NFC playoff picture all season. Their defensive resurgence and consistent quarterback play make them a tough out. Dallas badly needs Tampa Bay to stumble to keep the wild card race manageable. A Buccaneers loss would remove significant pressure from the Cowboys' remaining schedule. The Saints offer an unpredictable challenge. Their offense has been inconsistent, but their defense has kept them competitive. If New Orleans can generate turnovers, they could derail Tampa Bay's game plan. This gives Dallas a sliver of hope heading into this contest. The Cowboys need every underdog to overperform this week. Tampa Bay's tiebreaker advantage over Dallas raises the stakes further. A win by the Buccaneers only pushes Dallas further away from playoff contention. But a loss tightens the pack and increases Dallas' chances of staying afloat. This game represents another must-watch moment in the Cowboys' rooting guide. Even minor upsets can shift NFC dynamics drastically. The Buccaneers have excelled in closing out games this season. This reliability makes them one of the tougher teams to root against successfully. Still, divisional matchups carry unpredictability and emotion. The Saints know their season hangs in the balance as well. Dallas needs New Orleans to play with urgency and precision. If the Saints pull off the upset, Dallas gains critical ground. Every unexpected loss by a wildcard competitor helps the Cowboys incrementally. This game is one of the most impactful matchups of the weekend. Dallas fans will be hoping for defensive heroics from New Orleans. It may be one of the Cowboys' best paths to staying alive. The Seattle Seahawks remain one of the most volatile teams in the NFC. When they're hot, they can beat anyone. When they're cold, they collapse quickly. Dallas needs the cold version to show up against the Atlanta Falcons. Seattle currently holds one of the wild-card spots Dallas hopes to chase. A Seahawks loss would dramatically tighten the playoff race. Atlanta remains inconsistent but far from hopeless. Their offensive weapons give them the ability to score in bursts. If they can control the clock and keep pressure on Seattle's secondary, an upset is possible. This matchup looks more winnable for Atlanta than the standings might suggest. Dallas fans will be watching for early momentum shifts favoring the Falcons. Seattle's biggest weakness has been defensive breakdowns. Explosive plays have cost them repeatedly in critical moments. If Atlanta exploits those gaps, Dallas could benefit significantly. The Falcons' ability to force Seattle into uncomfortable situations is key. An upset here would reshape the NFC wildcard picture. The Cowboys need Seattle to fall in order to keep multiple playoff paths open. Every win by the Seahawks shrinks Dallas' tiny margin for error even further. This makes the Falcons one of the Cowboys' biggest temporary allies this weekend. Dallas' postseason hopes require cooperation from teams they rarely think about. This is one of those moments where rooting interests feel strange but necessary. Even if Seattle is favored, NFL volatility keeps the matchup intriguing. Upsets occur every week, often in games just like this one. Dallas fans will cling to that unpredictability as they track the standings. If Atlanta delivers, the Cowboys' survival chances go up noticeably. For Dallas, it's another crucial matchup in a weekend full of them. A weekend of scoreboard watching for Cowboys Nation. This Sunday becomes one of the most important non-game days of the Cowboys season. Dallas may not be taking the field, but their playoff future will be shaped elsewhere. With their own margin for error shrinking, external results now carry enormous weight. Fans across the country will monitor every key NFC matchup with heightened intensity. For Cowboys Nation, scoreboard watching becomes a strategic exercise. The scenario is daunting. Dallas needs the Eagles, Rams, Buccaneers, and Seahawks to lose. They also need a favorable result from Bears, Packers, ideally a Packers loss. While none of these outcomes are guaranteed, each one keeps the playoff window from slamming shut. A combination of upsets and favorable breaks could drastically alter Dallas' outlook. The stakes are high, even without the Cowboys stepping on the field. The larger theme is clear: Dallas is fighting for survival. The Lions' loss forced them into relying on luck as much as performance. Yet the NFL's chaotic nature always leaves room for hope. Stranger things have happened in December playoff races. Dallas needs to believe in that unpredictability now more than ever. The Cowboys must take care of their own business moving forward. But they also need cooperation from teams across the league. Sunday becomes a reminder that playoff races are shaped by dozens of moving parts. Dallas fans know the situation is difficult, but not impossible. And in the NFL, not impossible often becomes a rallying cry. Whether Week 14 brings heartbreak or renewed hope remains to be seen. But it certainly brings drama, tension, and massive implications for Dallas. Every scoreboard update could shift the playoff odds in real time. For a team clinging to a 9% chance, every snap matters, even in games they're not playing. Cowboys Nation now enters one of the most important weekends of the season.